Fisheries now. Greenpeace says that previously suppressed reports show that MPI has been captured by the fishing industry. Last week, the ministry published a 2012 report detailing how fishing companies underreported their hoki catch. Greenpeace released this yesterday. It's issued another report from a similar time showing similar kinds of problems in the southern blue whiting fishery. Well, Russel Norman, of course, is the executive director of Greenpeace. He's with me in the Auckland studio.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a big claim to say this that MPI has actually been captured by the fishing industry. Can you back it up?
Well, the evidence for it is that MPI, the compliance division of MPI, have done all these investigations and found lots of evidence of illegal behaviour, have recommended prosecutions. It never happened. So on the previous one, which was Operation Achilles, about the inshore fishery, where they had video evidence of dumping of half the catch, unlawful, the compliance division said we should prosecute. It was stopped. And then when we asked MPI why they stopped it, they said, we had legal advice. We couldn't use the evidence. Well, a journalist, Michael Morrow, followed this all the way through, and it turned out that was not true. MPI just made that up. They did not have legal advice. They could not use the evidence. So why didn't they prosecute? And then in this latest round of report, a whole new bunch of evidence, and MPI have come up with a new reason why they don't prosecute. And the new reason is that if you prosecute this illegal behaviour, in 3 to 5 years it will simply be happening again, and therefore we just give them a stern talking to. Now, just think about that for a second. If this is true, that the criminal culture is so widespread in the industry that even after you prosecute, they'll be added again in 3 to 5 years, is the right response to that kind of perception, if that's MPI's perception of criminal culture, the right response to simply give them a stern talking to, or should they actually be really enforcing the law?
Yeah, you don't see that kind of example used in other industries terribly often. What is the motivation then? Because let's think about this. I mean, these MPI officials, I mean, they'll be, most of them will be good people, won't they? Trying to go about their jobs. Why would they act in this way, do you believe?
I mean, it is genuinely hard not to come to a bad conclusion. I mean, about what's going on. And so I've used the kind of the political science term capture of the regulator, which is a polite way of putting it, I guess. But it's hard to come to any other conclusion. Because think about it from the point of view of the fishing companies. They have very powerful financial incentives to under-report and to dump fish. There's lots of money in it. So why wouldn't they do it?
Well, they do, yeah, but what is the motivation for MPI? Yeah. I mean, you presume that most of these people go to work in the morning to try to do a good job for their country, mostly. I mean, why would they turn a blind eye to it? What's in it for them? What's the motivation, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
I think the regulatory capture, the idea behind it is that the regulator comes to identify with the industry that they're regulating. And so they come to identify with the fishing companies. So when they catch them doing under-reporting of carton weight, for example, massive, which the compliance official thought was unlawful, they kind of see it from the point of view of the fishing company. It's hard to, this is why we needed an independent inquiry.
And that's what you're calling for. Your reports are less impressive given the age. Is that fair? The 2012, 2013, this is 6-7 years ago.
So if it's true that what MPI say is, we followed up and we did all these things, right? So where are the MPI reports where they went through the 45 recommendations that were in that hoki report and they can show us progress on those 45 recommendations? If they're telling us that this approach of having a stern talking to the industry has worked, then they should be able to produce that report. They would have produced it already. They have produced no evidence that their stern talking to approach is working. And the financial incentives mean that, of course, it's not going to work. The fishing industry are financially incentive. They have an incentive to keep doing the unlawful practices.
And so you want an inquiry, an independent public inquiry, and this would be into the whole management system and the regulation of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, what the fishing industry and the MPI themselves want is an MPI-led review, which I can understand why they would want that. But from the point of view of the public, we need an independent inquiry, whether it's a commission, whether it's a royal commission. It has to be under the Inquiries Act, which has the powers to call witnesses, take evidence in secret. A lot of people are scared to tell the truth, so that they can actually find out why the regulator is failing to enforce the rules on this repeated, systematic, illegal behaviour of which they themselves have discovered.
Thanks for your time this morning. Do appreciate it. That's Russel Norman, who is the chief at Greenpeace, the executive director, I think he calls himself. Thanks for your time. It's 5 to 8.
A 3-year rescue fund for a popular Wellington train service is coming to the end of the line next month.